to Cody Talks NFL, presented by Blitzalytics.com. And here's your host, Cody Manning.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Cody Talks NFL. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys went out, had some fun, relaxed with your family, whatever you guys had planned and did. I hope it was a blast for you. I also hope you enjoyed the games yesterday. There were some exciting games, but there was more blowouts than I anticipated. But hey, it is what it is. It is the NFL, so you never know what to expect. As far as my Monday episode, this will probably be a quick one for you. I don't have any major news topics because nothing really major came out. I'll have an update from the Thursday night brawl as far as suspensions and everything for you when I go to the Thursday night teams. But yeah, no major news. So I'm just going to get right into this episode. I'm going to preview tonight's game. And then I will go through the Thursday night teams, the bye teams, and then recap everything from yesterday and my current state of mind on all those teams. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get into tonight's game. Kansas City is facing the Chargers. Now, keep in mind, this is in Mexico City tonight, so there will be a higher elevation of play. We'll see if that has any type of effect on any of the teams or players. As far as news, no news came out for either team. The injury report on the Chiefs side, Blake Bell is out with an ankle injury. Emmanuel Ogbah is out with a pec injury, and Alex Okafor is out with an ankle injury. And then Kendall Fuller is questionable with a thumb injury. Now, Damian Williams, the running back, is listed questionable. It's not injury related. He had to fly back for personal issues. But I think from my understanding from the latest report, it sounds like he should be okay and should be back in Mexico City for the game tonight. I'm not sure if something did come up to push his flight back or whatever. Just, if you're a fantasy owner, look out for that today just in case. And then for the Chargers side, Sam Tevy has been listed out with a knee injury. Jeremy Davis is doubtful with a hamstring injury. Russell Okung is doubtful with a groin injury. Justin Jackson is doubtful with a calf injury. And then Roderick Teamer is questionable with a groin injury. Cole Mazza is questionable with an illness. And then Drew Tranquill is questionable with a calf injury. Now, as far as this game, though, how I think it will go, it is a divisional matchup. It's in Mexico City. So we'll see if that has any type of effect on how this outplays. Typically the Chargers and Chiefs have been going back and forth throughout the last couple of years. I know that, the Chargers, when they met last year in KC, they end up upsetting them on a Thursday night primetime game. This probably basically the last chance for the Chargers to stay within the playoff race for the AFC wild card, because all it kind of takes, it seems like right now in the AFC, is to go on end your season on a winning streak, and you could probably sneak in as an AFC wild card right now. So this is probably the Chargers' last chance. So I do expect them to give their all. KC defense has been a letdown since when Patrick Mahomes returned last week. They let Derrick Henry run all over them. So I want to expect if the Chargers go with a heavy dose of Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler, try to establish a run, take off the pressure from Phillip Rivers, because their offensive line could not block to save him the last time we saw him. The Raiders got all types of pressure. So I'm sure that's what the Chiefs want to do. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this game because the Chiefs did lose that heartbreaker to Tennessee last week. They understand with now the Raiders winning, they have to keep control of the AFC West lead right now, and because they do have an important matchup with the Raiders after they come off their bye next week. So I'm sure they want to enter their bye week with a win on a positive note. Because it's a divisional matchup, because the Chargers need to win this to stay within the playoff race, I do think it'll be a close one. I have the Chiefs winning, though, like a shootout type game, like a 31-27 type win for the Chiefs. So I'm going to take the Chiefs just because I think they understand, like, with Oakland winning yesterday, and Oakland had the Jets this next week, and then they face Oakland that following week. This is an important win for them to stay on top of the AFC West. But like I said, I think the Chargers do stay within a score of this game because they have to win this too. So who knows? It could be an upset in Mexico City tonight. Then I'm going to go ahead and get into the Thursday night update as far as from the suspensions on both teams. Myles Garrett, he's been indefinitely suspended. According to the CBA, you can't indefinitely suspend somebody. So We'll probably get a better number after the appeal process for all these suspensions. Marquise Pouncey is suspended for 3 games. Larry Ogunjobi is suspended for 1 game. If anybody listened to the Friday episode, please go back and listen to it for my additional thoughts on it. And I still think that Mason Rudolph should have got at least a 1-game suspension for his involvement in this. But he's not suspended, but he's expected to get fined. Actually, the report came out yesterday, up to 10 players could face a fine for their role in this whole incident. The appeal process is going through. I know Ogunjobi's appeal is going through today. And then Marquise Pouncey's appeals tomorrow. There has not been a set time for Myles Garrett's appeal, but they should be heard by Wednesday. So if there's any change to the game suspensions, I should have an update for you by the Friday episode. So tune in for that. With the Steelers, though, no news came out outside the brawl incident over the weekend. And then with the Browns, though, they traded Duke Johnson to the Texans earlier this year. It was a 4th-round pick conditionally, and then it could turn into a 3rd-round pick. Well, after Duke Johnson playing and hitting that incentive, the Browns now do have a 3rd-round pick from the Texans for that Duke Johnson trade. Now, as far as the bye teams, the Giants, the Packers, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Tennessee Titans, all those teams had no major news come out over the weekend. So if anything comes up for them over this week, of course, I'll have an update on those teams on my Friday episode, and I'll give my prediction on where I think they stand and where they could possibly win or lose their Week 12 matchup. So, like I said, this will be a pretty quick episode this week for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the first set of games that happened on Sunday. The Falcons, they're now on a 2-game winning streak. They completely manhandled the Panthers. I did not expect this outcome. I thought the Panthers were going to win this game, but the Falcons did win 29-3. And then no news came out for either team. Falcons are now sitting at a 3-7 record. Panthers are now sitting at a 5-5 record. And Kyle Allen had a bad game. He threw 4 interceptions. He didn't look great at all, and he had a pretty good matchup to have a solid game. So that's a major disappointment for the Panthers, because now if Kyle Allen's going to finish like this, now it makes even more look like they could have Cam Newton return for next season. So it's not the ideal start for his finish to his season. Who knows? We can see if he can bounce back after this performance. But I will start with how I feel, though, on the Falcons, since they did win. They're 3-7. Back-to-back wins. The offense was never the problem. It was the defense. And ever since they made the coaching change to take the play calling duties off Dan Quinn, that defense has been balling out the last couple of weeks since coming off that bye week. They got tons of pressure. They got Kyle Allen's face multiple times throughout the game. As far as Dan Quinn's status, I still think it's up in the air. But who knows? I mean, if they string together some wins and they get to 500, I wouldn't be surprised if that convinces Arthur Blank to give Dan Quinn at least one more season. But let's see how they do finish the season out. But you got to give them credit. They're coming off their bye week. They're handling their business in a strong way and making 2 back-to-back basically statement wins again within their division against the Saints and the Panthers, who are the top 2 teams right now according to the records in the division. And then with the Panthers, though, I mean, for them to only put up 3 points against the Falcons, that's a major disappointment. Big glaring hole on their offense right now, because you should be able to move the ball and put up points on the Falcons defense, even with them playing better. They're sitting at 5-5, and they got to start winning some games. Otherwise, they're going to see all those playoff chances that they had from the first half of the season just dwindle away. It'll be interesting to see how they can respond in their following matchup, because they do face the Saints on Sunday. We'll go ahead and get into the next game. Dallas went to Detroit. The Cowboys did win 35-27 and ended up being a pretty close matchup throughout the game. Lions had a chance, to actually pull off the upset. Cowboys are now sitting at a 6-4 record. Lions are sitting at a 3-6-1 record. As far as any news or notes from this game, starting on the Cowboys front, Jane Slater came out after the game, and she said that a team source told her that Jason Garrett actually held a meeting with the players on Thursday. They wouldn't tell her what was all said, but they she was told that he took accountability for some things, and it was really well received by the team, and they played, which it showed in that game. But one new injury note from the Cowboys, though, is Lyle Collins did suffer a knee injury. So he's been battling injuries all year. So we'll see if he has to miss any time with that. On the Lions front, it came out before the game that the doctors told Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford that he has a 6-week back injury per sources, but that doesn't mean that he'll be out that long. So, I mean, with the Lions going to a 3-6-1 record, it's looking like highly likely they'll be able to go on like some type of playoff run with Jeff Driscoll, especially considering that the 6th seed is the Vikings right now with an 8-3 record in the NFC. So it almost seems logical they actually place him on I mean, I know he wants to return, but it makes some sense for them to place him on IR, just end his season, and have him come back healthy. Because like I talked about when this initial report came out last week, he's got a pretty big cap hit and dead money hit next year. So you're probably going to want your quarterback of next season to enter the season pretty healthy and not rush him back with a back injury. And because we all know back injuries are something you don't want to mess around with. That could have a long-term effect on his career. Other than that, though, with the Lions, Tracy Walker did suffer a knee injury yesterday, and their fullback Nick Baldwin also suffered a knee injury. Starting with the Cowboys, I mean, they found a way to win. It was a lot closer. I thought they could at least win by 10-plus points against the Jeff Driscoll team. Dak Prescott had a great game. He's been balling out this season, so he's making his case to make it at least a good sum of money this offseason. I'm kind of wondering where the defense was at on this game, because I thought the defense would ball out more getting after Jeff Driscoll, but they're kind of letting up some big plays. But they did handle their business, so they are sitting at 6-4 record on top of the NFC East. So they got control of their playoff destiny right now with that 1-game lead over the Philadelphia Eagles. Then the Lions sitting at 3-6-1. I mean, they're fighting hard. They fight hard throughout the season, even despite all their injuries. I got to give them credit in this matchup with the Jeff Driscoll-led team. But with Matthew Stafford potentially missing more time, like I said, potentially they'll have to consider sitting him down for the year. So I just don't have much expectations for the rest of the year for the Lions. So it's evaluation time for that team and see who they want to have come back as far as that roster in 2020. Now moving on to the next game, Jacksonville did travel out to the Colts. Colts completely controlled and manhandled the Jacksonville Jaguars. They won 33-13. Couple injury notes on the teams. Jaguars, Josh Oliver, their rookie tight end, suffered a back injury. And then the Colts, on one of his best performances of the season, saw yet another player on their offense go down with the injury. Marlon Mack fractured his hand. He's going to be having tests today to determine whether he needs surgery and how long he will miss. But the expectation is he will miss at least this Thursday night game against the Texans. So it's a brutal blow for the Colts offense entering a big matchup, especially considering they don't have T.Y. Hilton back. I'll talk about that game at the end of the episode when I do my usual Thursday night prediction. But as far as how I feel about the teams, Colts are sitting at 6-4. You can just tell how much Jacoby Brissett means to this team. How much he means to that offense. I mean, you could argue Jacoby Brissett doesn't get hurt against the Steelers. They beat the Steelers, and they should beat the Dolphins with them. So it seems like the Colts got back on track with this win. They got the running game going. Obviously, missing Marlon Mack is going to have an impact, but Jonathan Williams did a good job. Colts actually had 2 100-yard rushers yesterday. Jonathan Williams went over 100 yards too. So we'll see. And like I said, I'll give my prediction on how that will affect the Thursday night game later. But the Colts defense was able to shut down Nick Foles. Nick Foles did have that touchdown to start the game, and then it was complete Colts defense after that. So that defense is starting to gel together now that everybody's getting healthy. I like what I'm seeing from their defense. And then on the Jaguars side, they just seemed that the offense just seemed out of sync. It seemed like they were about ready to roll after that touchdown, and they could just never get anything going. Leonard Fournette was completely bottled up in that one. So I think they'll have to get adjusted to Nick Foles returning, but they fall to a 4-6 record. That defense, man, like their pass defense is pretty good with the pass rush, but when it comes to stopping the run, they get completely gashed. So I don't know. The Jaguars are a team that can maybe be competitive in some games, but I don't have high expectations for them to finish the season strong. Um, so yeah, I think the Jaguars are a team that are going to be like a 5-11, 6-10 type record right now. And as far as the Colts, they just got to handle their business and they can win the AFC South or at least make it in as a wild card team at this point. But obviously, that Marlon Mack injury is going to be a brutal blow to their chances if he ends up missing significant amount of time. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the next game though. The Bills against the Dolphins. Bills beat the Dolphins 37-20. Bills are now sitting at a 7-3 record. Dolphins are sitting at a 2-8 record. Some injury notes from the game. Bills tackle Ty Neshke hurt his ankle, and then Bobby McCain for the Dolphins did suffer a shoulder injury. As far as this game, Bills just basically they bounced back on their feet after losing to the Browns last week. They handled their business on the road against a divisional opponent. Josh Allen had one of his better games of his season. The offense looked good yesterday, but I'll take that with a grain of salt because it is the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins played good the last couple of weeks, but it's still the Dolphins. So I will take that with a grain of salt. I want to see that offense perform like this in a big time matchup against a good team. But the Bills handled their business. They're sitting at 7-3. They're the 5th seed in the wild card right now. So as long as they can keep on handling their business, they can control their own destiny and they can get into the playoffs this year. And the Dolphins sitting at 2-8. They're still the Dolphins. They're still going to be losing majority of their games throughout the end of the season. They'll be picking in within the top 5. But we'll see what happens now because unfortunately, anybody that's a college football fan, a draft fan, knows that Tua Tagovailoa, I totally butchered his name. I should just say Tua. But yeah, Tua got hurt, and that completely changes the first round of this next year's draft. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes, and that's something I will follow in the offseason. But yeah, Dolphins are destined for a top 5 pick, while the Bills basically have a chance to control their destiny at making the playoffs right now. And then I'm going to go into the next game. Houston Texans against the Ravens. This was kind of a surprise to me because if anybody watched my Friday episode or listened to the Friday episode, I was pretty upset about that Sunday night game, which ended up, I mean, it was close, but it was still more of a stinker. Was still there, and they didn't flex this game in. But guess what? If they flexed this game in, would have been much of a matchup. Actually, I probably would have got more sleep because I could have went to bed in the second half of the game. But yeah, the Ravens completely manhandled the Texans. I was not expecting this much of a domination over the Texans because I thought the Texans had a better offense output than this. But yeah, they won. Ravens won 41-7. Ravens are now sitting at a 8-2 record. Texans are now sitting at a 6-4 record. As far as no news or injuries on the Ravens front with the Texans, I'm not sure how this happened, but Mike Adams suffered a concussion during pregame warmups ahead of the game, so he ended up getting ruled out. And then Lonnie Johnson didn't return with a foot injury, and Justin Reed left with a shoulder injury. So those two guys are missing from their already banged up, patched up defensive secondary. That's going to hurt their defense even more for the Thursday night game against the Colts. But I'll start with the winning team, man. The Ravens, they basically kind of, at this point, with how they're playing, they look unstoppable on offense. They're 8-2. They're obviously watching the Patriots, begging for one of these teams to beat them so they can get control of that number 1 seed in the AFC. But yeah, they're balling out right now. They have complete control over the AFC North, and as long as they keep stockpiling wins, they should get a first-round bye. And if the Patriots do drop a game or two, they should be able to get the number 1 seed. So, I mean, the Ravens looks like one of the teams to beat in the AFC. So we'll see what happens throughout the season. But I know they're basically looking unstoppable right now. It'll take a good, solid defense to come up with the right plan to control that Lamar Jackson with how electric he's playing right now. And then with the Texans, they're sitting at 6-4. I'm just really disappointed because they want to get to playoff team and they got manhandled. Like, is that, I don't know. Like, what can we expect from the Texans? I thought their offense would play a lot better. I mean, I was expecting some type of letdown with the J.J. Watt being out, but I just didn't expect the Ravens to do what they did against that team. So I'm not sure. It would make no sense for them to be like, because I know they got the Colts on Thursday night, and the Colts are a team they struggled with in Houston. So, but still, I don't. The Ravens are. You can't call this a trap game because the Ravens shouldn't be a team that you're overlooking for. And no slight against my favorite team, but you don't really need to be overlooking the Ravens to the Colts. You know what I'm saying? Like that team, you know what to expect from the Colts. So I don't know. I feel like Bill O'Brien really dropped the ball in this one and did not have his team prepared to face the Ravens, and they were coming off a bye week too. So for them to come out and lay an egg on coming off a bye week, I think that speaks more on the coaching staff than it does a team. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the next game. The Denver traveled out to Minnesota to face the Broncos. This ended up being a very exciting matchup towards the end of the game. Vikings found a way to win 27-23, and they were down 20-0 in the second half at one point. It's been 99. There was 5 straight. It hasn't been since 2014 that a team trailing 20-0 in the second half has ever came back. The record was 0-99, and then the Vikings end up erasing that record. They found a way to win. Kirk Cousins basically put the team on his back and led his team to victory. You could argue that it was a MVP type performance. While I'm not saying he's the MVP, but he is definitely should be in consideration because he's putting up a career type year right now with his numbers. If you go look at the numbers, there's like 5 to 7 categories. He's having a career high right now. And while Dalvin Cook was a major part, but we all know it's a quarterback's award in the MVP. So I think he kind of took Dalvin Cook's placement in that as far as representing the Vikings, and he's right there. I mean, it's Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson like in the upper tier for the race. But I definitely think in that next tier in the conversation, there definitely needs to be a Kirk Cousins mention, and we'll see how they play out. Obviously, they're watching that Packers-Niners matchup next week because they're on a bye week and they want a chance to win the NFC North. And if they win the NFC North, it's all about trying to get that first-round bye for them. So Vikings team, they're a good team. As far as the Broncos, 3-7. They're just going to be a team that they got a really good defense. Brandon Allen was able to move the ball in the first half, but couldn't do anything in the second half. They can be competitive with some good teams. It's just all about them finding ways to finish games because they struggle to finish games in the fourth quarter. So they're like a 5-11, maybe a 6-10 type team to me. Really quick though, before I move on to the next game, as far as injury notes on both teams, the fullback for the Broncos, Andy Janovich, suffered a dislocated elbow. That's basically a 6-week injury. So his season's pretty much done, barring, I guess, the Broncos going on a miraculous playoff run and they finish 9-7 and somehow sneak in, which I highly doubt, as you can tell when I said how my feelings on the team right now. Highly doubt that would happen. And then the Vikings, so this could be a big one. Harrison Smith did suffer a hamstring injury against the Broncos, but they are on their bye week, so hopefully they will get Harrison Smith back as he's one of their biggest keys to success on that Vikings defense. Now I'm going into the next game though, the Jets and the Redskins. Jets actually beat up on the Redskins 34-17. With injury notes, Chuma Daga suffered an ankle injury for the Jets, and then Deron Payne also suffered an ankle injury for the Redskins. The Jets came out and they are just more productive on offense, and the Redskins' offense stinks. I have no expectations for the Redskins. So, yeah, the Jets, though, back-to-back wins. They're now sitting at a 3-7 record. The Redskins are sitting at a 1-9 record. With the Jets, though, yeah, they're sitting at 3-7, but I still have no expectations for them. I mean, yeah, they should be able to beat some bad teams. They have the talent to do so on both sides of the ball. So yeah, they should be able to beat bad teams. They'll struggle against good teams, and they'll probably finish with a 4-12, 5-11 record this season. Redskins, no expectations at all. That offense cannot do anything. They got their first touchdown after going 16 quarters without scoring a touchdown, which was the longest active record since 2001. So I have no expectations for that team, and who knows if they even win another game. They could easily finish 1-15 this season. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the next game. The Saints handled their business on the road against the Bucks. They won 34-17. The Saints are now sitting at a 8-2 record, and the Bucks are sitting at a 3-7 record. As far as injury notes, Josh Hill for the Saints did suffer a concussion. With the Bucks, Jameis Winston told reporters after the Saints he should be fine after I guess he hurt his ankle towards the end of the game. As far as how I feel on each team, Saints are sitting at 8-2. They now have a 3-game lead against the Panthers in the NFC South. They can clinch that NFC South probably within the coming weeks, and then they can focus on trying to get a first round bye in the NFC. So that's where the Saints are going. I totally expect them to win the NFC South. I don't expect a barring collapse. I don't expect a run by the Panthers. So Saints should be in the playoffs this year, and it's all about them trying to keep winning games so they can try to get a first-round bye. As far as the Bucks, though, they're sitting at a 3-7 record. I thought they would be a lot more competitive in this game. They let Drew Brees pick them apart. Jameis Winston did Jameis Winston type things and turned the ball over multiple times. I know that O.J. Howard baffle was not his fault, but still, he's throwing 4 picks. So Bucks are what they are, man. They got talent on some parts of the team, but they need to completely retool this whole offense and then look for a different quarterback for their future. So we'll see how they do that in the offseason. I'm sure they'll win some games against bad teams, but they'll probably end up finishing with a 5-11, 6-10 record. I can still see them going 7-9 too, but we'll see. My expectations for them for the rest of the year kind of dwindled yesterday because I expect them to be more competitive than what they were. And then my next game I'm gonna go ahead and head into the 3 afternoon games. Arizona traveled to San Francisco. San Francisco, the score says they won by 10 points, but that was because the Cardinals completely fell apart at the end of the game. The Cardinals did have a chance to win that game, but they completely baffled their win. Cliff Kingsbury's going to need to learn how to win the end of fourth quarters overtime games because there's been a few instances where the Cardinals should have won some games this year and they just struggled to put away teams. No news or injuries on the Cardinals front. With the 49ers, they're just a team that keeps on suffering injuries week after week. D Ford left with a hamstring injury. Deebo Samuel left with a shoulder injury. And Quan Williams left with a stinger. And then I know Emmanuel Sanders at some point never came back into the game because he's been dealing with that rib injury. But yeah, 49ers go to a 9-1 record. Cardinals are sitting at a 3-6-1 record. I'll start with the winning team, the Niners, 9-1. They found a way to win a game, a close divisional matchup, so I got to give them credit there. But they should be able to beat up on teams like the Cardinals if they're going to be a legit threat within the NFC. So, they're still a great team, but injuries are piling up on them. So we'll see how they'll be able to respond with that. But it was a good way to find a way to win after letting the Cardinals go up on them early, and then the Cardinals retaking the lead, and then they just found a way to get the win at the again should have been closer than that. It was like a fumble return for a touchdown at the end of the game, which created the 10-point lead. But yeah, 49ers handled their business. They're 9-1, and they got to control the home field advantage, but they got a big matchup with the Packers on Sunday night. So I can't wait to see what Jimmy G and that team can do against the Aaron Rodgers-led Packers team. Cardinals, though, 3-6-1. But they're a competitive 3-6-1. Kyler Murray's impressed me this season. He really has. I am bought in on him as an NFL quarterback. I actually can't wait to see what this team can be when they get an offensive line in front of him and when they get a defense to go with him as well. At least a defense that can create more turnovers and not give up big plays. You can't have it perfect on both sides. But yeah, I expect them to be competitive. They'll compete with good teams. Though they should be able to beat mediocre teams, and they should be able to. At this point, I think they should be able to handle their business against some pretty bad teams. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get into the next game, the Raiders and the Bengals. Raiders did find a way to win a close matchup. You could have called this a trap game. They could have easily end up finding a way to lose this game, but they end up winning. They won 17-10. No news or injuries came out on the Raiders front. On the Bengals front, there was a scary moment. Auden Tate ended up getting carted off the field. He gave a thumbs up before he exited, and he was ruled out with a neck injury. Then Tom Pelissero came out that he was actually able to make the team plane home, and all tests were negative. And he'll be reevaluated today, but all signs are good that he avoided a major injury, which is great to see because the young kid was having a pretty solid year for the Bengals this year. But the Bengals are 0-10. No expectations for them. I can't give any positive notes on that team. Besides, they're finally getting Joe Mixon the ball, and Joe Mixon's looking like Joe Mixon. I guess that's a bright spot. Sam Hubbard, I guess, was making some plays on the defense anytime I got a good chance to watch that game close yesterday. But yeah, they're sitting at 0-10. They should be locking up the first pick, and here comes Joe Burrow, Bengals fans. Hopefully he can save you. And then Raiders, though, sitting at 6-4. They're right there in the thick of the AFC wildcard push. Shoot, they're a game back from the Chiefs right now, like I talked about earlier with the Chiefs preview. So they got the Jets coming up. They can go to 7-4, and then they will have a big matchup against the Chiefs to see where they really are at. It'll be interesting to see. They're a young team that's full of rookies making a play. I saw some interesting stat. Since the sack became a stat in 1982, the Raiders are actually the first team to have rookies score 10 plus touchdowns and have 10 plus sacks in a season. So similar to kind of like what the Colts did last year, where they really hit on their draft class. Like the Raiders really hit on their draft class, and that's a great sign for the future of this team. Like I said, I still think they're a year away from being a really great team, but hey, they have a chance to make the playoffs, and they have the capability of beating good teams. We'll see. We'll see how they finish their season out. I mean, I definitely think they'll finish above 500 or 500 above. They'll probably be an 8-8, 9-7 team. Maybe if they finish right, a 10-6 team, and they can maybe squeeze in as a wild card team. You got to like what John Gruden's doing with that roster, especially considering how many injuries have been dealt with as well, as far as the defensive side. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish off the afternoon games. The Patriots against the Eagles. As far as injury notes, Dorsett for the left with a head injury for the Patriots. Lane Johnson suffered a concussion for the Eagles, which once he left the game, it completely changed the game for the offense. They could not move the ball against the Patriots. The Patriots did win 17-10. Patriots are now sitting at a 9-1 record. Eagles are now sitting at a 5-5 record. I'll start with the Patriots, 9-1, sitting on top of the AFC. They're going to try to keep stockpiling wins so they can hold that one-game lead on the AFC number 1 seed for the playoffs over the Ravens. Yeah, I mean, the Patriots found a way to win. I'm not going to – yes, he did. I mean, Tom Brady looked bad yesterday. Like, he struggled on some throws. I mean, you could argue that if any of those Eagles guys find ways to catch those interceptions, like, this might be a completely different game. So that offense is working through some things, but they'll get Isaiah Wynn back here soon, which should help improve the offensive line. I still, like, as great as the Ravens are, as unstoppable as they look, like, I mean, at the end of the day, Patriots are the Patriots, so they're sitting on a 9-1 record, so they're still the team to beat to me in the AFC, because we already know how hard it is to face the Patriots twice this season, so we'll see what the Ravens can do come playoff time against them, especially if they have to go to Foxborough to play that game. But yeah, Patriots are sitting at a 9-1 record. Their defense is still making plays. Their defense is still good. I do have major questions still, though, about that offense. So we'll see what they'll be able to do when they face a good offense. You know, what happened against Baltimore. So because the Eagles, their offense just doesn't have an identity. I don't know who they are. Their wide receivers can't help Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz also still makes questionable throws this year. He hasn't looked himself. I thought he was going to have a better year. The Eagles defense did what they had to do. I mean, they held Tom Brady and the Patriots to 17 points, and barring some of those turnovers by the Eagles, Patriots really didn't have great field advantage outside those turnovers to score those points. So I don't know. Eagles are still got the talent, but Lane Johnson. We'll see if that affects them. They're sitting at 5-5, but even at the 5-5 record, they still have a chance at the NFC East. The NFC East is the only thing that's keeping the Eagles alive, I believe, right now in the NFC playoff picture. We'll see how they can respond after losing to the Patriots, because at the end of the day, they lost to the Patriots, so it's not like they lost to a bad team. So we'll see how they can respond next week, but they do have a big matchup against the Seahawks in Week 12. And then going into the Sunday night game, the Bears against the Rams. No news or injury notes on the Rams. With the Bears, Bobby Massey suffered a back injury, and then everybody saw that what we thought at the time, Mitchell Trubisky got benched, but it came out he left with a apparent hip injury. We'll see if there is any validity to that, if there's any injury reports that come out this week on that. But yeah, the Rams, they beat them 17-7. It was kind of a snooze fest, even though it was close for majority of the game. Bears offense just couldn't get anything going at all, which was not a surprise. The Rams, they showed some flashes of potential. Their line looked a lot better. Surprisingly, they got their rookies playing well. Todd Gurley was actually looking like Todd Gurley on some runs yesterday or last night. He got over 100 yards, I believe. And then, they showed flashes on some plays. Jared Goff made some good throws, but then he also made some very questionable throws. They're sitting at 6-4. They're still within the wild card picture. All they need to do is see some teams drop some games. They're going to finish over 500. They're going to finish probably with a 9-7, 10-6 record, but I just don't know if that's going to be enough for them to get into the playoffs. But hey, they found a way to win, and then with the Bears sitting at a 4-6 record, I believe their playoff hopes are completely out of the picture. We'll see if Trubisky is going to have to miss any time with this apparent hip injury. And there's just that offense gives you nothing to believe in. So, the Bears, they'll be able to beat the bad teams, but they'll probably finish with I could see them going to like a 7-9 record, but they'll probably finish with a 6-10, 5-11 type record. And then going to the Thursday night game, the Indianapolis Colts traveling to the Houston Texans. Big divisional matchup. Winner will take control of the AFC South after this game. Currently, the Colts hold the tiebreaker over the Texans. The Colts beat the Texans earlier in the season as well. But yeah, that Marlon Mack injury definitely has me concerned how the Colts will respond. But Jonathan Williams did enough. Nyheim Hines will just get the ball more. If T.Y. Hilton was playing, I would actually be very comfortable saying the Colts were playing, because T.Y. Hilton not only has big games against the Texans, but he specifically has big games in Houston. But he didn't practice at all last week. So I have a feeling he's going to miss this game as well. If Houston played the Ravens closer than what they did, I would lean towards Houston. But the fact that they laid an egg coming off the bye week makes me feel like they were underprepared. So it's like I also can't trust that. Colts defense is balling out right now. Houston's defense today is not that great. So I think they can easily still move the ball without Marlon Mack against the Texans and without T.Y. Hilton. So I think it's going to be one of those close divisional matchups. I think this is going to come down to a field goal, because I did think that Houston would split the series with the Colts this year. I'm going to pick Houston because the Colts don't have Mack, and the Colts more than likely won't have T.Y. Now, some reason T.Y. does play in this game, I will keep in mind, I think the Colts win easily, actually. Not easily, but I think they have a better chance. Their chances increase, but because I originally thought entering the season the series would be split, and with probably no T.Y., no Mack for sure, I'll give Houston the slight edge, but I think it comes down to a field goal. I think it comes down to who has the ball at the end of the day. I think whoever wins this game does kick a field goal to win. I'm slightly leaning towards Texans because of no Mack and no T.Y., but I also think the Colts can win this game as well because they have success in Houston. So, but I guess if I got to pick, I'm leaning towards Houston right now. But if Ty plays, give me the Colts all day. All right, I'm going into my producer question from Rob. His question: which 5-5 team, the Titans, Eagles, and Steelers and Panthers, is best positioned to make a run and get in the playoffs? You got to pick one only. I'm going to go with the Eagles, just because I simply still don't trust the Cowboys and Jason Garrett to finish the season strong. I think it's going to be the Texans or the Colts or a combination of both that represent the AFC South in the playoffs. I don't think the Titans have what it's take. I think they're going to finish about 500. Steelers, I just don't believe in that offense at all, so I don't even think they finish above 500. And I think the Panthers are kind of falling apart, and the NFC wild card is just too hard to make it right now, especially now that they're 2 games back on the wild card position. So Eagles are only 1 game back on the Cowboys. So I think that I can see them. I think they have the best chance to make a run and then win the NFC East and sneak into the playoffs. So if I'm picking one team, I would put my money on the Eagles out of those 4 teams making the playoffs. Good. That's actually a pretty solid question there, Rob. I'm going to go ahead, though, and thank you guys for listening to this episode today. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're on iTunes listening to this, give us 5 stars. Give me a review. What can I do better? Give a comment. Whatever I can do to make my show better, please reach out. My handle is @CodyTalksNFL on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys are listening to this on YouTube and you ever want to listen to the audio version, please search Blitzalytics Podcast Network. We're on 11 different platforms like iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. So go out there and find us on that network. We also have the Blitz Breakdown, the Pick 6, the XFL Files, and my Fantasy Football Hot Seat podcast with my producer of this show, Rob. We do our start, sits, studs, waiver wire targets. I do my top 5 streamable defenses. So listen to that. We give some great advice. We've been hitting on some players on our starts and sits. So if you want help making that playoff push and making that money, come holler at us. And then, if you have any money though to give, you're in that giving mood because it's that time of the year. It's Thanksgiving, right? Thanksgiving's next week. Christmas is next month. Please go to check out the Blitzalytics All Heart Charity League. There's 10 different charities represented by 10 different teams. It's all about fantasy football, raising money for great causes. So if you have anything to give, please go check that out. Tons of different great causes that you can give to help out other people. And then also, too, if you're looking to stock for some stocking stuffers, some T-shirts or something to give for the Christmas this year, go to theblitzalytics.com. Click on the store button on the right-hand side. It'll show you all these amazing creations by Rob. And there's not even just Blitzalytics gear you can go check out. Rob has other amazing apparel. He has amazing graphic artwork you can hang up around your house as well to give out as a gift. It could be sports, it could be pop culture stuff, whatever it is. And also, he's pretty creative. So if you reach out to him and you got an idea of what you want to get somebody as far as maybe a T-shirt or maybe something you can hang around the house as a gift, reach out to him and talk to him, and he can maybe come up with something for you. And his handle is @RobRobGraphics. Other than that, I just want to thank you again for tuning in. I hope you did have that great weekend, but go and enjoy this week. Have a happy Monday. Blitz out.
Thank you for watching Cody Talks NFL, presented by Blitzalytics.com. As always, hit that like and subscribe button, and then hit that bell notification icon to stay up to date on all things football.